Hey, welcome to the vlog review of Aaron's Magic Village. Now I say that, and you're looking at it. The cover here says The Real Schlemiel. Okay, this is the first movie from the collection, the first review, and we already have a name discrepancy. Um, so this movie was released in Germany under a German name, the German version of this. They changed it to The Real Schlemiel, and then when they made it for America, they called it Aaron's Magic Village, which is the title on the VHS tape. But when they brought it to DVD, they called it the Real Schlemiel, which is, I guess, the European English version. But basically, it's an animated movie directed by, here, I got some notes here, directed by Albert Hanan Kaminski, which with the voices of Tommy Michaels, Tova FELDSHUH. So if you don't know who that is, if you ever watched The Walking Dead, which I'm a big fan of, she was Deanna Monroe, which is the leaders of Alexandria when Rick's group first got there. Um, she does like three or four voices in here. Harry Goss, Steve Newman, narrated by FYVUSH Finkel, like Howard Finkel. And it's very short. It's 78 minutes and it's rated G. Uh, Basically, it tells the story of a orphan boy who gets adopted by his uncle Schlemiel, and the boy's name is Aaron, and his goat. Uh, I already forgot the name. That's going to be a common theme with this movie. I just watched it. All these reviews are pretty much going to be try to be right after I see the film. I'm going to turn the camera on and record my thoughts. And it was an hour and 15 minutes before credits, and I really don't remember anything really. It's a musical. There's one song called Remember, oddly enough. It's called Remember, and I barely remember anything else. Um, but didn't really leave an impression, but I can tell you the little things. No. So there is these fairies apparently, and one left foolishness. I already forgot that part too, but one of them left basically a foolish spell where all the village people in Aaron's Magic Village are dumb. They act dumb. They're slow-minded, and Aaron doesn't have that problem. So it's kind of like a '90s animated version of Idiocracy in a way. So he goes on a quest. Kind of remember the quest about was about getting a book. I forgot what. See, but even the explaining didn't really catch me, and it probably explained it, but I kind of like got sidetracked because I really wasn't too engaged. Um, Looked at my phone a couple times. Not the whole movie. I was trying to watch. Trying to give you guys honest reviews here, but that it just. Anywho, and there's a villain. They just call him the sorcerer. He's a sorcerer who they just call the sorcerer. Kind of reminds me of that Street Fighter character in the later games with the red suit. Kind of looks like M. Bison, and he's got a stick. Kind of looks like that, and he's got a fox as his henchman who steals things. And there's one point Shamil, the uncle, goes running off. Um, he goes somewhere, and he comes back and gets kind of sidetracked by the fox, and he ends up back home. But he thinks it's an alternate version of reality, or there's another town like his called the name of the. It's hard to say because it's a Jewish thing, like Shem, like is the name of the like Chelm is the name of the town, and he thinks it's a Shem too, or and that all his wife and his daughters are all sequels or this other dimensions version of of them, even though he's right back at home, and they're kind of the girls start crying, and yeah. So anywho, so Aaron goes on this quest against the sorcerer, and the sorcerer has this monster called a goyim or something like that. This movie is heavily Jewish because you know how like back in the not even back in the day, still to this day they have Christian themed like TV shows, like animated versions of David and Goliath, Daniel and the Lion's Den, Noah's Ark. I saw some of those as a kid, and this reminded me of like a Jewish version of that, where it's aimed at Jewish kids or Jewish families, but it's not like so religious that I noticed. I mean, they might have Jewish folklore or uh, religious backgrounds or aspects to it that I'm not aware of. I didn't do any research, um, but getting sidetracked like crazy. thing in my mind. But the villain is the sorcerer. He's got this thing that reminds me. If you ever saw Batman the animated series, it reminds me of Clayface, and it's made of clay. And he has it attack the village Godzilla style, and then something about the book that Aaron has to get turns the creature's heart into love. So he doesn't want to hurt Aaron anymore, and that pisses off the sorcerer. And the sorcerer gets defeated. Spoiler: this is a movie from 1997. um, and then he comes back home, and then they celebrate, and all things are well. But even though the uncle still believes that he's in the second dimension still, that didn't clear up. Along the way, they meet a little elf who's about this big. Reminds me of the brownies from Willow, even though this is completely animated. And his name is Lanta. Which every time they said his name, I thought of my Lanta. So it's, I don't know. So the book score from the Malton book that this is all based on, they gave it 2 stars out of 4. I kind of disagree. I gave it like 1.5. Didn't really captivate. Doesn't compete with Disney or DreamWorks or Fox or Nickelodeon cartoons at all. Not even like independent cartoons. It's kind of choppy in some areas. Kind of reminded me if you ever saw the Little Nemo cartoon. That's what it kind of reminded me of. It's not really anime style either. It's German. Um, but I think it could have been a lot better. I think little kids, I don't know, the animation's kind of old school, so I don't even know, like recent kids might even find it appealing, especially with all the Jewish things in. Not even knowing what Jewish is, they might just think that's kind of weird. Nothing against Jewish people, but it just has that weird flavor to it. But they might like the songs, like a little kids might like the songs and get into like the colors and the characters and the way things look. And it's a decent time. I mean, watching it right now, like I said, didn't intrigue me. I don't know if I'd watch it again unless I was marathoning or doing some weird thing where someone wanted to watch it with me. But yeah, so that's the real Schlemiel, aka Aaron's Magic Village. That's it for this one, and I will see you on the next review. Have a good night.